Today I'm going to review Empire of the Summer Moon, which is considered a historic nonfiction. This will contain spoilers, so if you plan to read the book, I probably wouldn't watch this. This is your official warning. I give this book a strong 4 out of 5 stars. I say strong 4 out of 5 because if there's a way to give it a 4.5 out of 5 on my review, if I could do half ratings, I would, but I can't, so strong 4 out of 5 it is. The author, S.C. Gwynne, was incredibly detailed in this book, not in an overbearing kind of way. You can see here, he has footnotes in each chapter, and you can trace that back to a bibliography in the back of the book. And if you choose to fact check if that's something that's important to you, you can do that. I wanted to find out what other people loved or did not love about this book. Oh my gosh, yeah. And so I went to the Goodreads app and read about what people thought about the book. That was a huge mistake. People are super hateful. The book is about the rise and fall of the Comanche Indians. It's basically about white settlers kicking Indians off a reservation, or they're not reservations, but out of their land and onto reservations. It's very historical, and it happened, and people were mad about it. I suggest that if you want to live a long, happy life, don't ever read the yeah. Don't read those reviews. So it was terrible. Just left me speechless with how ignorant and hateful people could be and how much progress we haven't made as a country. This was about the Comanche Indians who were forced out of their homes by American settlers. A huge injustice was done to them, and don't mistake this statement as a disregard for how incredibly brutal they were known to be. And they were shoved out of their lives and livelihood. The plains, they made their money from the not money, but they fed their family from killing the buffalo. And when they were moved off the plains to other areas, there weren't that many buffalo, and then eventually there were almost no buffalo. So quite a change. Quinault Parker, a half white and half Comanche Indian, ended up being a Comanche chief of the Indians, described what happened to them in this response to being questioned by a friend how the white man had pushed Indians off the land. So the friend posed the question, how did the white man push Indians off the land? So Quinault told him to sit down on the cottonwood log in the yard. This is a quote from the book. Quinault sat down close to him and said, "Move over." Miller moved. Parker moved with him and sat again close to him. "Move over," he repeated. This continued until Miller had fallen off the log. "Like that," said Quinault. His mother was Cynthia Ann Parker, a young girl that was abducted from a homestead in Texas in 1836 at the age of 9. She ended up acclimating to the Comanches, marrying a chief and having 3 children. People tried to rescue her, and sometimes they just tried to rescue her. She loved her tribe and her family, which baffled people who could not understand how she would want to live with savages. It's the word from the book, not from my vocabulary. She eventually was captured away from the Comanches, and I use the word captured because it was not willingly that she went, and her husband, and grieved dearly. She was with her daughter, Prairie Flower, at the time, and they were allowed to remain together. Quinault missed his mother dearly, and later in life, when on the reservation, the picture taken of his mother breastfeeding his sister was considered to be one of his most prized possessions. And this picture is just amazing. I'm going to show you this because I just love it. So, at the time, it was not you would not see that picture in a newspaper of a woman breastfeeding a baby, but this was the talk of the time, and that was in newspapers. And I think it's a great photo. The Comanche Indians, the Comanche Indian warriors were brutal during raids, unparalleled in their horse workmanship, and a force to be feared on the plains, both by other Indians and settlers alike. In a description of the aftermath of a Comanche raid, and more correctly named massacre, Captain Robert G. Carter describes this scene. This is a quote from the book. Their fingers, toes, and private parts were cut off and stuffed into their mouths. Their bodies, lying in several inches of water and swollen or bloated beyond all chance of recognition, were filled with arrows which made them resemble porcupines. One wretched man, Samuel Eliot, who fighting hard to the last had evidently been wounded, was chained between two wagon wheels, and a fire having been made from the wagon pole had been slowly roasted to death, burnt to a crisp. A soldier who observed the Comanches on horses in war saw them as incomparable horsemen, and said that they could loose up to 14 arrows in the time it took a soldier to load and fire one round. That results in a lot of fatalities to one shot being fired. A Comanche warrior could drop beside his horse and be protected from the enemy fire. They were notorious for being able to break a wild horse quickly and for being able to steal all the horses of settlements and soldiers while people slept peacefully, giving them the upper hand in war. They also could cover more ground than any other Indian warrior or American soldier on horseback. When fleeing danger or when fleeing from the raids, they were known to ride their horses to exhaustion. When it collapsed, they would cut out the guts, wrap the guts around their neck, drink the guts, the blood and whatever was in the guts, so that they would not get dehydrated in the heat. And then they would just grab another horse and keep going. So there were further descriptions of their ability to maneuver on horses over great distances, and also their dietary preferences, some of which made my stomach turn, but meat also makes me sick, so that's not really saying much. I'll allow you to read that yourself, so I just want to give a quick overview. Here are two final quotes from the book, and I'm just going to read these from the book because they are very good. So, when addressing a crowd, one of his last public speeches before he died, he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I used to be a bad man. Now I am a citizen of the United States. I pay taxes, same as you people do. We are the same people now." And Quanah was known for his human trait of boundless optimism. Quanah never looked back, an astonishing feat of will for someone who had lived in such untrammeled freedom on the open plains, who had endured such a shattering transformation. In hard times, he looked resolutely forward towards something better. That sentiment appears obliquely on his gravestone, which reads, "Resting here until day breaks and shadows fall and darkness appears is Quanah Parker, the last chief of the Comanches." So I don't remember exactly where another quote is that I really loved, but he talked about, he said the white man meets his God, at a church, but the Indian meets his God in his teepee. And I thought that was a really great quote. A little personal digression on why this book meant so much to me. So that's the brief summary of the book. I think you should get the book. If you haven't, I think you should read the book. I think it's eye-opening and also should compel you to be a little more compassionate for what we've done in history. So I personally have always been deeply impacted by Native American heritage and history, feeling that it was personal. As a little girl, I was told matter-of-factly that I would get college free and that I was 1/16 Native American. My grandfather would joke and say I must have been a Blackfoot Indian when I'd go outside and play without shoes because my feet were black. Not really for any other reason, but I could never get any information on what tribe I was affiliated with or which side had Indian. This is on my father's side, so I saw them sporadically throughout my life, but I felt deeply connected to that part of my heritage. I would call them my people, and I would joke with my husband and my children, calling myself predominantly Native American. It was kind of our inside joke, stating the rest of my heritage was a hodgepodge of European, but nothing was more than the Native American. So he would joke about getting me an Ancestry kit or a 23andMe kit and proving me wrong. This year for my birthday, I did that. I decided I want to know what percentage Native American I am, because this has been told to me my whole life. So found out this is the percentage of Native American I am: 0. And that was really strange. You know, I guess those things could be wrong, but I just don't know as a scientist how wrong it is. I'm not really super concerned about it, but I did think that was funny. And then when you look at the Native American features, so high cheekbones, something I don't have, the flat nose, I definitely don't have. It makes sense. Here's a picture of Quanah and his wife. He was very proud of his home and his family. And that's a picture of him sitting in his room next to the picture of his mother. But I digress. Anyway, I still feel pretty passionately about Native Americans and their culture, though not personal to me. I just think that's a funny story about the way that your family can influence what you think or what you feel to be true, even if it's not true. I love my family very much, and I don't know why they said that. So I hope you enjoyed this review and my digression, and I hope you tune in for later vlogs. Bye.